This is the Talking Sports podcast hosted by Peter DiBiasi and John Rocco Trumpbour right here on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. The reason you guys clicked on this episode is because we are breaking down the MLB preview and we're breaking down the MLB season. We'll be going through all the awards, all the playoff predictions. We'll give you our World Series winner and some surprising and disappointing teams. And I am joined by Tristan DeCuna. Tristan, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Pete. Excited to be here. Excited to talk baseball with you.
Yeah, guys, if you guys don't know Tristan, obviously JR is still in Florence until the middle of May. So for the next couple episodes, like I said in the last episode, JR will not be joining us. But Tristan is an MLB quote-unquote expert. And you guys know I wouldn't bring on anybody that wouldn't get the job done because Tristan watches MLB and that's all he watches.
Yes, that is true.
But before we get into all the busy work, I just got a couple quick announcements. Guys, if you guys want to follow us on Twitter and follow us on Instagram, that would be awesome. Both of those links and it will be in the description. And like I said, it's on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. But if you don't like looking at our faces, which I don't blame you, you can go on Apple Podcasts and listen to the audio version. The link will be in the description, as well as if you just type in on Apple Podcasts, Talking Sports Podcast, that will come up. And because baseball season is coming up, opening days, April 7th, and I know all you guys want to get out to the ballpark wherever you live, and the best way to do that is to use SeatGeek. Get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek using code TalkingSportsPod. Both of those will be in the description, but if you guys want to get $20 off the next time you go to an MLB game or any sporting event or any concert, go to SeatGeek.com, download the app. First purchase, you get $20 off using code TalkingSportsPod. So a little discount for you guys if you guys don't want to spend all the money on sporting events because those tend to be expensive. But forget about that stuff for right now. We're going to dive into exactly why you guys clicked on this episode. Tristan, I'm starting with you. We're going to start with the MVPs, both in the AL and NL. Give me your AL MVP for the 2022 season.
All right. So American League, I usually would chalk this up to Mike Trout. I think that's, the easy pick here, but I went a little unorthodox. I'm going to go with Kyle Tucker from the Houston Astros, who I think had a really, really underrated season last year. Showed really good discipline at the plate, had OPS over 900, 30 home runs, 30 doubles. And he was, a pretty highly touted prospect for a while and finally kind of showcased his talents that the Astros have been expecting. And I really think that he's going to, continue to progress as a player at the big league level. And I'm expecting him to do big things next year. So I'm going to take him over the, maybe not the obvious favorite, but one of the favorites in Mike Trout.
Wow, if I said Kyle Tucker was going to be MVP pick, then hey guys, if you guys want to place a little money on the Kyle Tucker, the odds, I'm assuming they're pretty good odds to win. Somebody, hey, we're not encouraging betting here, but we're just saying Kyle Tucker's odds probably pretty good. I went the little more, what's the word? Easier pick, I would say. Yeah, I didn't go Trout. I didn't go with Tani. I just think that's a little too easy, but I probably went a little too. I went Vlad Guerrero Jr. Last year, he batted .311, had 48 home runs, 111 RBIs, and had an OPS over 1,000. Those are some good numbers. And the Blue Jays are going to be much better than they were last year, or their expectations to be much better than they were last year. Blue Jays fighting for the AL East division, have one of the best lineups in baseball, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. can absolutely smoke the baseball. He'll be playing first base the whole year because you have Matt Chapman at third base. He will absolutely smoke the baseball this year. He smoked it last year with 48 home runs. If it wasn't for Ohtani, he would have won MVP. I think another very good year. If he puts up similar numbers, which is very hard to do, I think he'll win MVP because I don't think Ohtani has that year again because that's tough. If Ohtani has that year again, then I'm completely wrong. But yeah, I got Vlad Guerrero Jr. winning AL MVP and maybe too easy of a pick, but I like the pick. I thought it was a good idea.
No, I completely agree. I think you're very much correct about Vlad.
Tristan, NL MVP pick. And guys, before we let you guys know, I'm a Yankee fan. Obviously, you can see the Yankee stuff. Tristan is a Mets fan, so we got a little Yankees-Mets things going here, just so people know where he's coming from. Because if he talks too much about the Mets, you realize why. Tristan, who's your NL MVP pick?
This one was a little bit easier for me than the American League pick. I'm going to have to go with Juan Soto. I think this is maybe an obvious pick, but I think it's more we've just been waiting for it to happen. It's a when, it's a question of when instead of if with him. I was looking at Tatis and, he's got this injury, it's broken wrist. was looking at Acuna, but he's coming back from this ACL injury. So I really think that I don't know if it's wide open for Soto, but you look at what he's done in the past few years. That walk rate is just incredible. His discipline at the plate. He's got the power. He can pretty much do it all. It doesn't strike out. WRC plus is off the charts. So I'm definitely going to have to go with Soto. I think he plays a phenomenal outfield too. Now that they moved him over, I think it's an easy pick for me in Juan Soto.
Guys, if you guys know, when you guys watch our episodes, Jared and I like to, for some reason, pick the same people. I don't know why. It just happens. I went Juan Soto. Not a problem because we think Juan Soto is going to both have a great year. Like you said, look, Acuna's coming back from that ACL injury. Doesn't mean he's not going to be great. The timetable we don't know, and we also don't know how healthy or how much he plays right away. They'll ramp him up. Acuna's going to have a great year. Tatis could be out 2 to 3 months. So that kind of hinders his availability. Freddie Freeman's an option. That could be an option. You could also have Bryce Harper could win it again. But look, I think the AL has better hitters. So I think Juan Soto, like Tristan said, and I completely agree, it's probably his to lose. That's probably the way. If he doesn't lose, I'm not saying it's disappointing because he still could have a great year. He batted .313 last year, 29 home runs, 95 RBIs. But what I like about Soto, even though this is not the reason you show an MVP, he's exciting. And when you're exciting in baseball, because baseball has a tend to have a problem with drawing audiences because the old school people don't like the bat flips, the stare downs, all the fights, all that stuff. But Soto's going to be on social media. He's going to be on Instagram, on Twitter every night because of when he takes a pitch, he does that little shuffle. When he hits a home run, he'll stare down the pitcher. He'll bat flip. It's like Ohtani last year. Ohtani was exciting. Vlad Guerrero's exciting. Tatis and Acuna are exciting. Freddie Freeman's not exciting. And he's a great baseball player. Matt Olson, they're both great baseball players. Bryce Harper kind of tends to be exciting, but they get the job done, but they're not exciting. Juan Soto gets the job done. He's exciting, and that makes a great recipe for people that are non-baseball fans to go on Twitter, go on Instagram, and see Juan Soto. Should that be the reason you win MVP? Probably not, but it helps you a ton if you're an exciting baseball player.
Definitely adds to his case. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think you give that same factor to Tatis and Acuna, but we're not really sure what they're going to be right now. They're kind of X factors in this race. But yeah, I completely agree. I think it's Juan Soto's to lose.
Tristan, the Cy Young in the American League is, I wouldn't say a crapshoot, but it might be a crapshoot because pitchers are good, but they're not the NL pitchers with Scherzer, with DeGrom, with Bueller, and the list will go on. Corbin Burns, Jesus, the pitchers are just unreal. You just keep naming people, and you're just like, oh my God, 15 people down. The NL pitchers are insane. Tristan, who's your AL Cy Young Award winner?
Yeah, this was definitely a tough one. I looked at some of the more obvious guys. I looked at Robbie Ray, winner from last year. I looked at Garrett Cole. Some of these guys, they don't really shine in the spotlight like that. One guy that I'm kind of expecting to have a big year. I really like Dylan Cease. I think he's gonna show out in a big way this year. He's shown incredible strikeout numbers the past few years. Last year, struck out over 200 batters. Made 32 starts last year. The ERA was a little high, but he kind of underperformed his expected stats, underperformed his FIP a little bit. I really like his stuff. I think he's shown, his velocity has increased the last couple of years. His curveball is one of the best in the league, I think. I'm really expecting that White Sox rotation. I think he's going to lead the charge over there, for a really good White Sox team. And, I really don't see much other competition in this race. Like what we were saying, it's not like the National League at all. So I think it's pretty wide open. And I think if Dylan Cease has a big year, like I'm expecting him to, then I think he could really steal this award.
I like it. You went bold with the AL and then you MVP, and then you're going a little bold with the Cy Young. I'm kind of keeping it vanilla. I'm going to go Garrett Cole with the New York Yankees. Look, he had a very up and down year last year. We remember his meltdown or his disaster outing in the wild card game against the Red Sox. I believe he was injured, and I think most baseball people, is that an excuse? Probably not, but most baseball people think he was injured. And you also have the spider tax situation we're just not going to have to get into because that's just nobody wants to hear us talk about that. But he started 30 games last year, and he had a 3.23 ERA, and he had a whip of 1.059, which is solid, very, very solid year. And I think the pressure is going to be on Garrett Cole this year. And I think he knows that. And I think he has a very solid year, but he's not going to have a 1.85 ERA to win the Cy Young. He has a 2.65, 2.55, in the American League and starts 30, 35 games and has a certain amount of strikeouts, he'll win Cy Young. I think Garrett Cole has a very bounce back year, has a very solid year. And I think he sits around the 2.5, 2.77 ERA. And I think he takes home Cy Young.
Yeah, I definitely think coming back, second year removed from this spider attack ban, I think he's definitely going to figure it out. I think he's going to, learn how to pitch to weak contact even more. His strikeouts will still be there, but I think he'll figure it out even more than he did last year from that, abrupt kind of change in his pitching style. So yeah, I think he'll definitely be fine. And if he does put up those numbers, then yeah, it'll probably be pretty easy for him to run away with it.
Completely agree. Tristan, we're flipping on to the Cy Young in the NL. This is an absolutely loaded race. You're going to have like 5 or 6 guys that are all going to be around the same ERA, same strikeouts, all that stuff that you're going to be like, well, just flip a freaking coin and we'll call it a day. But Tristan, who do you got taking home the Cy Young in the NL?
Yeah, I know I gave a kind of a bold pick for the American League Cy Young, but I think I'm going to go with, maybe a more obvious pick. I'm going to go with Jacob deGrom here. I think this is, no surprise from me being a Mets fan, but I think this guy far and away is the best pitcher in the National League and MLB. The one question is his health. We've seen him, make a couple of starts so far this spring training. And he's looked healthy. He said he's felt healthy, ramping him up slowly. But I think you can't discount what this guy does. This guy is, 100th percentile in the league and strikeout percentage and walk percentage and all the expected batting average. The fastball velocity is ridiculous too. I think this guy is, kind of just, I don't want to say just, looking at the brink of the iceberg here, but, he's, if we see a full season of what this guy does, then there's no way anybody's stealing this for him. I know we got a lot of competition. You got Corbin Burns, you have Zach Wheeler, there is a lot of competition, but I think if this guy makes 28 to 30 starts, there's no way anybody's stealing it from him.
I completely agree, and that's who I have winning Cy Young, Jacob deGrom. Look, Corbin Burns, Max Scherzer, Zach Wheeler. Walker Buehler, Jack O'Flaherty. Like the list just keeps going. You're gonna get tired just saying it. But the biggest thing with Jacob deGrom is that he can't stay healthy. And if he stays healthy, he would have won Cy Young last year. He had a 1.08 ERA in 15 game starts. But he just didn't pitch more than 15 games. He's also in a contract year because he's opting out after this year, and he wants money and he's going to get money. If he has a full year, the amount of money Jacob deGrom is going to get is going to be crazy. He's going to break the MLB pitching record per year money, whatever it is, because he's that good of a pitcher. If he doesn't stay healthy, well, then it just becomes into question. And then obviously the Mets will falter because the Mets have obviously they have Scherzer and that's great, but they need Jacob deGrom to be 30 games, Jacob deGrom. And I think he will be, or at least have maybe a 75, 80% year because we've seen him get injured. I still think he can win Cy Young. When was the last time Jacob deGrom won Cy Young? He won a Cy Young, correct?
Yeah, he won it in 2018 and 2019. And then 2020, he was third place.
Okay. And then obviously last year with the injury. So Jacob deGrom trying to go for his third Cy Young, first since 2019. He has the best year. They'll give it to him. I'm going with Jacob deGrom. Tristan and I agree. But guys, before we keep going on, if you guys want to comment anything, any MVPs, any World Series picks, anything you guys like to feel free to comment down in the comment below section. We like to respond and just show our appreciation and our engagement to everybody that listens. Tristan, manager of the year in the AL.
Yeah, this is an interesting one for me. I think there are, this is always like an interesting category. You look towards some teams that are like kind of surprising, some teams that are going to have a good year and, the manager leaves them there. I think last year was Kevin Cash with the Rays, which is, obviously a great pick. I'm going to go with Scott Servais from the Mariners. I really like the Mariners this year, and I think they've improved a lot. And I really like what he did with the team last year. I think he ran a great ship last year. They kind of a surprising team, overperformed their run differential and, very nearly made the playoffs. And I think they're a much, much improved team this year. They've made a lot of great additions, I want to say. With the lineup, they've got Jesse Winker now, they've got Adam Frazier, they've got Eugenio Suarez, and that rotation is looking really good now that they signed Robbie Ray. So I think they're going to try and make a run for it in the American League. And I think they're kind of going to surprise a lot of people. And I think Scott Servais is a great guy to lead that charge over there.
I love that pick. I love the Mariners. Maybe we're both hinting at where we might have the Mariners in the playoff race, but we'll get to that in a second. I'm going Charlie Montoyo, manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. I am very high on the Toronto Blue Jays. That pains me being a Yankee fan. I'd rather be high on some team in the NL West because that works for me. But you got to be honest here. I'm really high on the Toronto Blue Jays, and I think a lot of people are. you have Bo Bichette, you have Biggio, you have Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you have George Springer, who he's fully healthy. He's a great defensive center fielder and has an insane bat. And they decided to trade for Matt Chapman. So why not? The pitching kind of scares me. They have Henry Yu, Jose Barrios, Kevin Gausman. Actually, the pitching does not scare me. Forget what I just said. Luis Kunuchu. I think I said his name right. Kuchu. I don't know. We'll figure out how to say his name.
Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't really matter. He's good. That's the point. He's a good pitcher. That's the point. Those are some legit pitchers. They're not Cy Young potential pitchers, but they're very good. A lot of twos on the Toronto Blue Jays. I think they have a rotation of like two or three two starters, which is not a bad rotation, but they're going to absolutely mash the ball. The bullpen kind of scares me a little. I don't really see anybody in their bullpen. Yimi Garcia, David Phelps, Tim Aiza, Jordan Romano. Those guys don't really move the needle for me. But Troy Montoya, manager of the year in the AL. I think Blue Jays are very good, and I think he'll get it. Tristan, NL manager of the year. Is it going to be Buck Showalter? It's going to be Dave Roberts. Who do you got in the manager of the NL?
Yeah. Well, obviously, I look towards Buck, leading this Mets team that was disappointing last year. I kind of thought about him. I thought about Dave Roberts and the Dodgers. I also thought about Craig Counsell, who I really like in Milwaukee. But I'm going to go with another maybe unorthodox pick. I'm going to go with Don Mattingly of the Marlins. Marlins are another team I'm pretty high on this year. I think they have maybe potential for one of the best rotations in baseball. If you look at it, they have Alcantara, they have Pablo Lopez, they have Trevor Rogers. They got Luzardo from the A's, and then they have a bunch of prospects coming up. They have Sixto Sanchez in the minor leagues that didn't pitch at all last year. They have Edward Cabrera. They have Max Meyer. So their rotation is looking really strong. And I think they made a lot of improvements on the offense this offseason. They got Joey Wendell from the Rays. They also recently signed Jorge Soler. So I really think the Marlins are going to be a much improved team. And I really like Don Mattingly's managerial style over there. He did a great job with the Dodgers before they let him go. We saw what he could do. But I think, they've been kind of doing this rebuild for a while, but I think they're very nearly ready to compete. And I expect the Marlins to be pretty competitive in 2022.
Man, you're bold on the predictions. And one of them will come back and bite you in the butt. But I got Bob Melvin of the Padres winning the manager of the year. He's a great manager. And he did not want to be part of what the heck the A's are doing, because who wants to be part of the Oakland A's because they decided to spend $0 and 0 cents. They spent as much. Actually, we're going to spend more money on going to one single baseball game than the A's spent on getting better. So put you in and obviously they got rid of Matt Olson. They got rid of Matt Chapman. They don't like the Mats, I guess. And then Sean Manaea, they're definitely good. I bet you they have two pitchers. I forgot the other pitchers, just skipping my mind right now. But Sean Manaea, who's the other pitcher they have in the A's?
Frankie Montas
and Sean Manaea. Thank you. Both of those guys have to be gone by the trade deadline. You would assume so. So the A's are in a full rebuild. He decided to jump ship, go to the San Diego Padres. This is I wouldn't say make or break year, but there's expectations on the Padres to win some games and get in a playoff spot, especially because it's a 16 playoff in the NL and the AL. They have pitchers in Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, Joe Musgrove, Mike Clevenger, Chris Paddock, and Mackenzie Gore. There's some good freaking pitchers they got there. Their rotation, hopefully they have a Snell bounce back, but they should be a very good starting rotation. And you also guys have, you got Luke Voigt, Eric Hosmer, you have CJ Abrams, you have Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado. This team's good. Are they good enough to win the division? I don't know. But they're good enough to make the playoffs, I believe. Bob Melvin wins manager of the year. Padres make the playoffs for the first time in a while.
Long time, yeah. I completely.
Did they make it in the COVID year?
They did. No, I don't think they did. Honestly.
Yeah, that year is so skewed.
Yeah, that year is just lost in my mind. Yeah.
So forget regarding not the COVID year, first time in a while. Padres make it back to the playoffs. Bob Melvin wins not coach of the year, manager of the year. Tristan, rookie of the year in the AL. What do we got?
So this one, okay. I think this is this was one. These are
hard. I picked one last year. Or was it 2 years ago? He never got called up. Mackenzie Gore.
Yes,
he never got called up, and I was like, Oh, great. So rookie of the year in the AAA, like great. Like, I don't know.
Right.
He's never got
Right.
called up. So these are a little hard because if they never get called up or they get called up in August, yippity doo-dah, they're not winning rookie of the year.
Yeah, I agree. This is a really hard category to choose in general because you don't know. There's so much fluctuation with the rookies. Like sometimes they come up and then they just don't perform well, so they go back down, or there's not room for them on the big league roster, or they just kind of hold them in AAA. But I also think the American League rookies are really stacked this year. You have a really, really wide range of competition for this award. So I thought pretty hard about this. I'm going to go with another kind of maybe sneaky pick here. I'm going to go with Joe Ryan of the Minnesota Twins. This is a guy who, isn't the biggest prospect out there. When you talk about guys like Adley Rutschman and Riley Green and Bobby Witt Jr. and Julio Rodriguez, things like that. But this is a guy that has really impressed in the minor leagues so far. This is a guy who 2 years ago in the minor leagues struck out over 180 batters in 120 innings, which is just kind of incredible. Came up, had a brief stint with the Twins last year, had decent success. And I'm expecting him to, kind of show out for this Twins team that I'm expecting to be pretty competitive also in the American League Central. I did consider some of these other guys, but, I thought either, they might not get the playing time that they need to show out, or they might not be considered ready by their teams yet. But Joe Ryan is a guy who's got big league experience now and has, showed out in, futures games, things like that, and has really showed a lot of potential as a big league Cowboy starter. So I'm expecting a big year from him.
I want to say I heard of him. I'm just not gonna lie on my podcast and said never heard of him. So I'm gonna take your word for that, Tristan. My rookie of the year probably went a little too easily just because rookies, I don't want to have the same Mackenzie Gore situation again. Adley Rutschman, he's the second best prospect in baseball. The Orioles are god awful. They're a horrible team. He should be on this roster, and he's gonna be on the roster to play enough games to win rookie of the year. He's the second best prospect in baseball. He's a great defensive catcher, can obviously hit the ball as well. Look, I'm not going to go on a limb and say I know a ton about all the prospects, but I'm going to take the word. I'm going to take the MLB.com's MLB prospect rankings word for it. Second best prospect in baseball. He's going to a situation where they're not a lot of talent on the Baltimore Orioles, not a lot of win now talent, and not a lot of potential. The Orioles are a mess. That's probably what I'm trying to get at here. And I think he will be able to play, and I think he'll win Rookie of the Year coming out of the AL.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pick, I would say.
I kind of went the top guy. So why not? Why not?
No, I mean, you're right though. You're right to make that pick. I mean, the only other catcher they have is Robinson Chirinos, I'm pretty sure. So there's not much competition ahead of him at the big level.
Robinson Chirinos doesn't give you anything. Justin, in the NL, who do you got taking home the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, this time I'm not gonna mess around like I did with this Joe Ryan pick, but I think the competition wasn't as wide. I looked at Brennan Davis of the Cubs, but I got to go with O'Neal Cruz. This is a guy that I really wasn't that familiar with until last year. We saw him come up for a brief cup of coffee with the Pirates last year. This is a 6'7" shortstop that shows all five tools. I think you're going to see a guy that can mash the heck out of the ball, and also we're going to see what his defense is like at shortstop. But I think this is a guy that has potential to be the next 5-tool player. One of those guys like Acuna, Tatis, and Soto. And looking at the rest of the competition, there really wasn't that much else. So we've heard a lot about this guy hype wise, how hard he hits the ball and things like that. I'm looking forward to seeing him maybe get a full 140, 150 game season in this year for the Pirates that are probably not going to have a lot of other reasons to watch.
Guys, I want to say Tristan and I did not talk about who we picked before we jumped on the recording. I picked O'Neal Cruz, obviously 6'7" shortstop. He's still a prospect. You go down with that prospect. He's rated as the 26th best prospect, but the potential is there for him. He got, like Tristan said, a cup of coffee in the MLB, and it was an up and down, I would say, start to his career. But that's like Tristan said earlier when we talked about Rookie of the Years, that it takes a little while for some of these guys to get going. And it was probably good for him to get a cup of coffee and kind of spend a month and a half there and just learn the ups and downs of MLB, the struggles that come with it. And he's also, like I said, for the Adley Rutschman pick, he's going to a team that doesn't have a lot of excitement, helps put tickets, make people buy tickets, and also helps people in the stands. O'Neal Cruz, 6'7" shortstop. You do not see that a ton. A lot of flair for the game. It's really tough for him not to win it this year. And I think a lot of pressure on the kid, but he's going to get at least 140, 150 games because Pirates don't have much of a roster. And I expect O'Neal Cruz to win Rookie of the Year. Guys, comment down below any of the Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year, Cy Young, or MVP, any of your picks. Let us know down below in the comment section. For the time restraints and just we don't want to keep you guys here forever, we're going to give you our AL playoff predictions as well as our NL playoff predictions. We're going to give you 1 through 6, and then we're each going to give you one division winner we really like, and I'm kind of changing up here on you, Tristan. One division winner we really like, and one wild card winner we really like on the NL side. So give me your AL picks 1 through 6, and then give me a division winner you love, and give me a wild card team, the teams 4 through 6 that you really like.
All right, so American League, I'll start off with. The American League was really, really hard for me. There's a lot of competitive teams here, but I went for the East. I was going with the Blue Jays to win that division. I really like them. Central, I have the White Sox winning it. And then in the West, I have the Astros winning it once again. Out of those 3 division winners, I really think the Blue Jays are going to be super competitive this year. They are, I don't want to say miles away, one of the best teams in the American League, but, what they've done with their pitching staff is just incredible. I think that their lineup, we saw how much damage it could do last year. It was really, really dangerous. You have Vlad, you have all these guys that are just, Matt Chapman now, that is, new third baseman. That's just incredible. George Springer when he's healthy, Bo Bichette. I think that lineup is just really, really hard to compete with. And then that rotation is, like you said, kind of a bunch of number 2s. They really don't have like an ace kind of per se. They have Barrios, they have Gosman, they have Ryu, Manoa, but those guys are all really, really competitive. And if you go in a playoff series with that team, I mean, there's not much you can do, I want to say. But yeah. And then, so other than that, my wild card picks, which might be kind of interesting. I went with first wild card. I went with the Rays because you can't discount the Rays. And then I went with the Mariners and the Twins after that.
What's your favorite wild card team? Give me your favorite wild card team.
I would pick the Rays, but I really only put them in there because I just can't discount what they do. I think the roster is pretty similar to last year. They didn't really do that much. But I really, really like the Mariners, as I was talking about earlier with my Scott Servais manager of the year pick. I think they're going to be really competitive. I don't know if they're truly, finding their max potential this next year in 2022, maybe later 2023 or something like that. But I think they're going to start showing their signs of how competitive they can be because they've been in this rebuilding process for a while. But especially if they call up guys like Julio, they have Logan Gilbert in this rotation who's going to be in his second year. I think they're going to be a much improved team over last year. And even last year, they were still really competitive and fun to watch.
Can't disagree with a lot of those. On the AL side, I got the 3 division winners. In the Central, I got the White Sox. East, I got the Blue Jays. And in the West, I got the Astros. My favorite team probably is like Tristan said, I love the Blue Jays, but I'm going to go a little different. I like the White Sox. Their rotation and their bullpen is incredible. Lucas Giolito, Dallas Keuchel, Dylan Cease, Lance Lynn, and Ronaldo Lopez. It's a pretty solid 5. And then you got a bullpen of Liam Hendricks, Craig Kimbrell, Garrett Crochet, Aaron Bummer. They brought in Joe Kelly, Michael Kopech. There's rotation's tough. And then you also have a pretty good lineup in Tim Anderson, Jose Abreu, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert. So Yasmani Grandal. The White Sox are very good, and they're going to win probably not the best Central Division ever. Still, I think the Central Division is still not great. There should be no reason the White Sox will not win the division, and they're one of my 3 division winners. My 3 wild card teams, I got the Rays, the Yankees, and the Mariners. We both agree on the Rays and Mariners. Obviously, you had the Twins, and I had the Yankees at the 5. I'll just talk on the Yankees for a second. Well, the Yankees spent a lot of money. They brought in Rizzo. They brought with the trade of Josh Donaldson. They brought in IKF to play shortstop. Was it Carlos Correa? Was it Trevor Story? Was it Matt Olson? Was it Freddie Freeman? No, and no. But the Yankees aren't a bad team. And I think we expected too much, and we didn't get delivered what we wanted. But the Yankees still have Aaron Judge and Carlos Stanton, Anthony Rizzo, Joey Gallo, Josh Donaldson. They still have Garrett Cole. They still have a really good back end of that bullpen. They still have Chapman, Chad Green, Jonathan Weiziga. The rotation's a question mark. If Luis Severino's come back to what he was 2 years ago, the Yankees could win that division because I think Luis Severino is that good. Jordan Montgomery's a solid I say solid 4. Jameson Taillon in the second half of the year was great. A lot of ifs on the Yankees. I just can't pick the Yankees not to make the playoffs because they're the Yankees and their team is still absolutely loaded. You have an MVP candidate in Judge. Joey Gallo, I bet you he'll have a bounce back year. Stan plays healthy. He'll hit 35 plus bombs. Rizzo's very good. If you have a bounce back year from Torres, this Yankees team is very good. I just think there's too many ifs. I still think they make the playoffs. They're not World Series contenders. So that's I guess the wild card team I like just because I wanted a little more insight on the Yankees.
Right. Yeah, it was really hard for me to leave the Yankees out. They have so much talent. I mean, I can't discount that at all. But I thought the American League is just really hard to, especially that AL East. I mean, I have the Blue Jays and the Rays in there. There's not many more wins for the Yankees to get out of that. But yeah, I completely agree with you there.
No, at least we both agree the Red Sox don't make the playoffs. So I like that. Tristan, give me your NL 1 through 6 and give me the division winner you really like and give me the wild card team you really like.
All right, so National League East, not going to be a surprise here. I'm picking the Mets, obviously, making big moves this offseason. I think they're going to win it. Central Division, I'm picking the Brewers again. I like the Brewers a lot. And then West, I think you just got to chalk it up to the Dodgers. I think that's a no-brainer there. Out of these teams, I really like the Dodgers, but I also really think the Mets are a much improved team. I think this is the division winner I want to talk about here. I mean, I think I know a lot about them, but I think this is a team that last year was really disappointing. You make this big trade for Lindor, you extend him, you have DeGrom in your rotation. You had a big year from a lot of guys on your offense. And then you kind of get this lackluster season from the majority of your offense. Your pitching goes down a lot. And this year, they look like they really wanted to fill out the depth of the team. You make additions like Starling Marte. You get Eduardo Escobar to play third. You get Mark Cannon to play the outfield. And then, come on, you can't ignore getting Max Scherzer in that rotation to do, a little 1-2 punch with Jacob deGrom. Can't really mess around with this in a postseason matchup of, like 5 games or whatever it is. This is going to be a really hard team to beat. I think this offense is really deep 1 through 9. And then this rotation, along with the bullpen, I think a lot of people like to clown on Edwin Diaz, but I think, this bullpen is going to be just fine. You got guys like Seth Lugo and Trevor May and Miguel Castro in the back end to lock it down. But yeah, I really think that the Mets are going to be pretty competitive in this National League East. And then after that, in my wild card picks, I have the Padres in the first wild card. I have the Cardinals in the second wild card and the Phillies in the third wild card. These wild card picks were a little harder for me because there's, a lot of competitive teams in the National League East and things like that. But out of these wild card teams, I think the Phillies have a pretty good chance to compete here. They kind of remind me of some older Mets teams that I used to watch that were high octane offense, but not a lot of defense. So I think the Phillies really only have themselves to get in their own way. But I think you add guys like Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos to a lineup with Harper and Real Muto and Hoskins and Gene Segura. You have this really, really potent offense. And then, Zach Wheeler's runner-up in Cy Young arguably should have won it. And then Aaron Nola, I'm expecting to have a really big year. Once again, I think he really underperformed his expected stats last year. And then you got guys like Kyle Gibson and Ranger Suarez to fill out the rotation. I think the Phillies are not going to be a team to mess around with this year.
Can't disagree. I like both of these sides are very hard to predict. There's so many good teams, and it's just a crapshoot. And obviously, we're going to get some wrong and some right. My 3 division winners in the NL. In the West, I got the Dodgers. In the East, I have the Braves. And in the Central, I went the Cardinals. The one team I love is the Braves. Look, they just won the World Series. Their rotation is absolutely loaded. And then you have Ronald Acuna coming back. You have Ozzie Albies. You have Austin Riley. And then you bring in Matt Olson to replace Freddie Freeman, who's as good as Freddie Freeman, but a handful of years younger. I think the Braves aren't going to miss a beat. Do I think they're going to win the World Series? Probably not. But them and the Mets are going to be battling. I bet you that division comes down to 1 or 2 games. Why not have the Braves win one more game just for fun's sakes? But I think the Braves win the division. I think the Braves are the one team that they just won the World Series. It's tough to repeat, but that team is stacked top to bottom. So I like the Braves. The 3 wild card teams I have the 4 is the Mets, 5 the Padres, and 6 is the Brewers. I'm going to stay with the Mets a lot. I like the Mets a lot. I think they're just in a very tough division. So are a lot of teams in the West. If they were in the Central, they would have no problem. They're just in a tough division. I think Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom are obviously your 2 best pitchers. The problem is there's 2 situations with them. They're both can't stay healthy, or DeGrom obviously can't stay healthy, and then Max Scherzer couldn't finish the season last year. And Max Scherzer's 38. That has to be a little bit of a concern if you're a Mets fan. I'm not saying to put any Met fans down here, but Max Scherzer not being able to finish last year has to be a little bit of concern. But if he plays a full year, and if Jacob deGrom gets you a full year, they also have Chris Bassett, they have Tylan Walker, and Carlos Carrasco. This team is loaded. They should be fine. And a bounce back year from Francisco Lindor has to happen, or the fans are going to turn on him really, really fast because he turned on the fans. The fans are going to turn it right back on him. He needs to have a bounce back year. They bring in Starling Marte. The Mets are absolutely loaded. I think they missed the division by 1 or 2 games, but they're my favorite wildcard team in the NL.
Yeah, I can respect that pick.
Tristan, this is why everybody came and decided to click on the video. If you guys stayed this long, we appreciate it. We are almost done. Don't worry. And comment down below your World Series pick. Right now, comment down below your World Series pick. Don't cheat. Tristan, give me your 2 teams and then give me your World Series pick.
Yeah, for me, this might sound a little boring, but in the National League, I think it's got to be the Dodgers. I think they're obviously the team to beat. They're just a powerhouse out there in LA. And then in the American League, I have to go with the Blue Jays once again. I really think that team is going to be ultra competitive. I think that they're coming from a stacked AL East, but I think they're not going to be a team to mess around with in a playoff series. I think their rotation is one of the best in the American League. I think their offense is one of the best in the American League. I think they're going to give the Dodgers a run for their money. But I think ultimately the Dodgers are not going to mess around here. The Dodgers are my pick to win the World Series. I think they have, you can give them the 2020 World Series. They obviously won it then, but people were going to, try and discount that from them. But I think they're not going to mess around. They have this loaded team. Just signing Freddie Freeman to make this team with, Mookie and Justin Turner and Trey Turner and all these guys just that much better. And that rotation is still nothing to be messed around with. I mean, I know Kershaw's getting older, but you still have Walker Buehler and Arias. I think the Dodgers are going to do whatever it takes to win a World Series, and I think they're going to do it this year.
Tristan, I liked your pick so much, I decided to copy them exactly. I have the Blue Jays coming out of the AL. I think they're absolutely loaded, and I think they have the pitching, they have the hitting. Their bullpen scares me a tad. I just think they're a tad better than the White Sox, and I'm not in love with the Astros. I think they're just in a bad division. And then I have the Dodgers coming out of the NL. Look, I think the Braves could, and I think the Mets are the 2 teams that probably could come out outside of the Dodgers. I don't think the Cardinals, even though they're going to win the division, could come out. Padres, if they get hot, they could, and they get a hot Tatis. They're loaded. Just haven't been there. Why not go with Blue Jays, Dodgers? I got the Dodgers winning once again. Like Tristan, you said, 2020 World Series, people are going to kind of not count that. I still count it just because it's in a World Series. Everybody had the same chance. But the Dodgers really want to kind of shut up everyone else, go win the 2022 World Series, and then you won 2 out of 3 years, and people won't say that's a fluke because obviously you're a legit team. Bring in Freddie Freeman. I think that not just because he's a great bat, but he's also a veteran presence that just won a World Series, so knew exactly what happens and what you need to do. They bring back Kershaw. You have Walker Buehler. This team, Mookie Betts, people kind of forget about, and I almost picked him to win NL MVP. People forget about Mookie Betts a little. Does Cody Bellinger have a bounce back year? You hope so. Justin Turner's back, I believe, on the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This team is very good. They're a very good team. Do they disappoint again in the playoffs? I don't think so. Me and Tristan both agree that the Dodgers are taking home the 2022 2022 World Series over the Toronto Blue Jays. Guys, comment down below who you have winning the World Series. We're going to end the episode just in about a minute or two. We're not going to go into detail, but Tristan, 2 surprising teams in the AL. No, it's 2 surprising teams. 1 in the AL and 1 in the NL. You don't have to go in detail. Just name drop them.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to go with the Marlins from the National League. I think they have a pretty young core coming up, and I expect big things from them. And then kind of on the American League, kind of a similar situation over there. I think the Tigers are kind of going to surprise a lot of people. They've got a lot of prospects coming up, and I expect big things from them too. Maybe not in 2022, but I expect them to be a lot more competitive than they have been in past years.
I like it. My AL surprising team, I have the Mariners. I have them taking the 6th and final spot. They bring in Jesse Winkler. I love that addition. This team was so close last year. They have the longest drought in all of the 4 major professional sports, MLB, NHL, NBA, and NFL, the longest playoff drought. They get it this year. And I think, like Tristan said, he has Scott Service winning the manager of the year in the AL. I think they get the 6th, and I think they surprise a lot of people and sneak into the playoffs. My other surprising team in the NL, look, I had them win the division, St. Louis Cardinals, because I think a lot of people are picking the Brewers, and I think a lot of people don't think the Cardinals are World Series contenders. And I think they're going to catch a lot of people as surprises here. They're still the St. Louis Cardinals. They're in a weak division because I don't love the Cubs yet. I really don't. The Pirates aren't anything. The Reds are not anything. I think they're having an easy division, and the Brewers really aren't anything to lose your mind about. I think the NL Central's kind of down, but I think the Cardinals have a surprising year and take that third playoff spot and win a division. Tristan, AL and NL disappointing teams. If you hear this and you're a fan of these teams, I'm sorry, guys, you're gonna have a bad year.
Yeah, sorry to break the hearts of Atlanta sports fans, but I think the Braves are going to be disappointing this year. Coming off a World Series, they're going to have a lot of expectations on them. They didn't have the best record in the world last year, but obviously they won the World Series. I think they're going to have these expectations on them, and you losing a guy like Freddie Freeman, that's a big leader, and then Acuna coming back from this ACL injury. I don't know if they're really, they're obviously going to be really competitive and really good, but this NL East is really stacked, and it's going to be hard to compete. In the American League, I'm gonna, Pete, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm gonna say the Yankees. I think they have all the talent in the world. They obviously could prove me wrong and run away with the division or a wild card. But I've been disappointed with them in previous years, and I don't think I could just chalk them up to be the ultra competitive Yankee dynasty that we're expecting from them. Obviously that could change, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But my pick is the Yankees to disappoint this year.
That's completely fair. The Yankees have expectations to win the World Series, and if they don't beat them, that's disappointing. My NL disappointing team is the Philadelphia Phillies. They brought in Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, you have Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Gene Segura, Reese Hoskins, Zach Wheeler. Aaron Nola needs to have a bounce back here, but this bullpen is once again absolutely horrendous. Their defense is horrendous, and outside of a bounce back year of Nola and Wheeler, or a bounce back here for Nola, and then obviously another great year by Wheeler, the rotation doesn't move me enough. I think they missed the playoff spots by a little, and the Phillies have once again continued their streak of missing the playoffs. And this is a team that if you're Phillies fans, they have to make the playoffs this year. This team is it's like the Mets. If the Mets don't make the playoffs this year, which they should, the Mets don't make the playoffs this year, people are going to lose their absolute freaking minds. And I know Tristan will, but the Phillies are in the same boat. They're not as good as the Mets, but they're in the same boat. The Phillies don't get the 4, 5, or 6 seed because we expanded the playoffs this year. Their fans are going to lose their mind. And I think the Phillies are going to have a little bit of a disappointing year and miss out on the playoffs. My AL team is the Texas Rangers. And the only reason I say the Texas Rangers, I don't think they're good. I don't think they're going to win the World Series. But when you pay over $500 million for 2 guys, like Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. And this is not a knock on Corey Seager or Marcus Semien. Go get your freaking money. I don't care. It's your money. I'm not giving it to you. Go get your money. But you're going to bring in 2 guys and then have a depleted roster around you. It's really similar to what Chris Bryant did with the Rockies. He got his money. And if you go look and Google the Rockies or Rangers roster, you won't be able to name 5 people outside of Chris Bryant of the Rockies and then Marcus Semien and Corey Seager of the Rangers. Am I wrong?
Not wrong at all. I completely agree with you.
So Rangers, this is how we build a team. We'll get 2 guys over $500 million and then just say, let's see what the heck happens. Their fans probably expect to win more games than they should. They're just not a good team. That roster is brutal. I don't expect anything out of the Rangers except for overpaying for 2 very good players, but just kind of try to speed up the rebuild by just saying no more rebuild. We're going to get 2 really good players and just stink everywhere else. So the Rangers are my disappointing team in the AL.
Tristan, can't argue with that.
Hey, not argue. Tristan, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. This is the first time we have seen Tristan. He was on an Apple podcast about a year and a half ago.
Yes, the Apple podcast debut. I remember.
Apple podcast debut. But Tristan, give us a social media account where everyone can find you if they want to check you out. Instagram or Twitter, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, you could check me out on Instagram at TBTacuna, or you could check me out on Twitter at TBDAC2. Those are my social medias. You ever want to, maybe slide in the DMs, talk a little baseball, or see what I'm thinking. But yeah, I would appreciate any engagement from you guys.
And guys, both of those descriptions will be down below in the comments section. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. And if you don't want to hear this on YouTube, go on Apple Podcasts. Link will be in the description. And once again, SeatGeek.com. Download the app. First purchase, Talking Sports Pod. You get $20 off any ticket for any sporting event or any concert. MLB season is coming really fast. April 7th is opening day. If you guys want to go to a game, you get $20 off using our code Talking Sports Pod. All that information will be in the description. But until next time, this was the Talking Sports Podcast, hosted by Peter DiBiasi and John Rocco Trumpbour with guest Tristan DeCunha. Until next time, have a great rest of your week and enjoy MLB season. Enjoy opening day.